We guys, today, I recently watched an anime that has been known to being one of the most disturbing, fucked up, and messed up anime anyone has ever seen. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about the type you sent your friends to recommendations. I'm talking about Shoujo Tsubaki. Now, before we get to the movie, I really want to give you a short mini lesson on how Shoujo Tsubaki was conceived. So Shoujo Tsubaki was made by one dude, Hiroshi Harada, who directed, written, and produced this movie. The only thing that's missing is that he stars in this movie, getting that Waizu pass. It was based on an erogero manga of the same name, created by Sufuro Maro, being published by Sirindu and Nablast Books in English, and an live-action movie that came out in 2016, which was directed by Tarako. Which is kind of ironic considering that this was banned in Japan. Yes, this was banned in Japan. I'll get to that later. So enough with the history lesson. So let's get to the thing you all being waiting for. Was Shoujo Tsubaki really that is disturbing? Or is this just another case of people overacting? Now this movie might be disturbing, but the thing that disturbs me the most is the fact that you haven't liked and subscribed. Make sure to like, share and subscribe, and I hope to make it to at least 500 subscribers or even more before the end of the year. And also, YouTube has an app named Hyped. It gives viewers a way to show their support for your content creators, and going forward, there will be spoilers for this movie, and if you really want to see this movie, for whatever reasons you little freaks, then I suggest that you leave this video because this is about to get disturbing. The film begins with an assortment of random disturbing images. A narrator describes a bunch of disturbing images that aren't even the ones we're seeing on screen. None of this will have much to do with the plot, assuming there is one. Eventually, the lines of narration start to sound like they might have something to do with what's going on. Our story finally starts with our main character Midori, the eponymous camellia girl, who has to sell camellias on the street because her mother is sick. She's approached by a creepman who tells her to come to his address if she needs a place to stay. When she goes home, Midori discovers that rats have eaten her mother from the inside out. As grotesque as this sounds, it's actually many times more grotesque, but I won't go into details because it's too horrible. Midori goes to meet the mysterious man and discovers that his home is a traveling circus freak show with an assortment of creepy freak, not creepy because of the way they look, mind you, but creepy because they like looking up little girls' skirts. It turns out they like far worse than that too, and they quickly make her their slave. From this point onward, the circus freaks torture and abuse Midori, driving her deeper and deeper into madness. We see still frames of Midori being brutally assaulted by the freaks. Then Midori witnesses them having an orgy, and it's as depraved as you'd expect. Shortly afterwards, the abused Midori befriends a litter of puppies. Almost immediately one of the circus performers, a psychopathic girl called Kanabun, brutally slaughters the dogs because that has it been done to death in every story ever. I'm not going to show you any other images from this scene because firstly I'm not a sadist, and secondly, Hiroshi clearly took far too much pleasure in animating puppies being crushed to death. That night after they've eaten, the freaks reveal what was in the stew. 3 guesses, people. Then they laugh as Midori cries, because of course they do. Midori tries to run away, but she's stopped by the snake woman. One of the performers assaults her again. Midori discovers that Kanabun is a hermaphrodite, and it's heavily implied that Kanabun manhandled her. More manhandling happens. Midori sees some guy eating what looks like a cucumber, and then we get a scene of Midori riffing on the floor as what looks like a caterpillar crawls into her ear. She's taunted by the snake woman, who tells her, Midori falls ill. Meanwhile, the circus is losing money, and their only hope is a magician from Tokyo coming to join them. We're told he does Western-style magic, but we'll soon see that this means he can do real magic. The magician is a dwarf named Wonder Misamitsu, and he and Midori seem to have a creepy attraction to each other. In their second scene together, Misamitsu kisses Midori on the cheek and asks her to kiss him, which she does. We then see them making out in a field of flowers, and then they talk about getting married. Midori points out that she's not a virgin, as she's been constantly abused by Arash's employees, and then he turns them both into dragonflies, and they make out some more. Misamitsu and Midori perform together in front of a crowd, and the others become jealous of his popularity. The pedo couple get their picture taken together, and the dwarf reveals that his magic is apparently real. The freaks beat the living crap out of Midori despite her threatening to tell her husband, but Misamitsu uses his magic to turn Midori into a giant. Misamitsu then insists the other rapists be paid more. Then one of the pedo freaks professes his love for Midori, making her pedo husband jealous. Misamitsu kills the other pedo by making him sink into quicksand. Midori sees him do this and runs from him, but he convinces her to keep quiet. Soon after that, a filmmaker comes to offer Midori the starring role in his new film. Because this is a contrived device in the most disturbed anime I've ever seen, he promises to set her up with a big house, that she'll eat well, and that people will be nice to her. Of course, her pedo husband tears up the business card and tells the filmmaker to go away. Midori tries to put the pieces back together, but he finds out and beats the shit out of her against a mirror, eventually imprisoning her in a small glass bottle. That night, as Misamitsu performs alone, the crowd pisses him off, so he transforms them all into Cronenbergs. As they are leaving, all the other performers are suddenly all friendly as they say goodbye. It's almost as if we're meant to feel sorry for them now that they've run out of money. But may I remind everyone that these people are all rapists. Midori waves a fond farewell and expresses her hope to see them again someday. Misamitsu tells Midori to wait for him while he goes to buy food. As he's returning from the shop, a mother or maid cannibal stabs him and he dies. As he's returning from the shop, a mother or maid cannibal stabs him and he dies. Good riddance. Midori goes looking for her pedo husband, and this is where the plot becomes really confusing. Suddenly, she sees all the circus performers including Misamitsu standing together and laughing at her. This drives her off the edge into madness, and she beats them all to death with a stick. They each explode into a cloud of either cherry or camellia petals, both are mentioned, and Midori is left standing alone on an infinite white plain. Then we're shown a few more still images depicting whatever disturbing things the writer could think of, complete with unrelated disturbing narration. And that's the end of this abomination. So now that I'm done with recap, now I want to talk about the characters. Midori is fine. I don't got anything negative to say about her, but nothing positive. In general, I have nothing to say about her except that she's basically used as a prop for torture porn, which there is a lot of it. Circus freaks are just a shoals. They abuse Midori on a constant basis and are just a shoals to each other. And then they, out of nowhere, we are supposed to feel sorry for them because the circus is shutting down. Like, okay, Misamitsu is okay, ignoring the pedo stuff, has basically a midget who could do Western magical, which was ancient knowledge for Japan at the time, and is the only person who is actually nice to Midori. He's showed having all of this power, and then he just gets killed by this street rat, and he didn't even try using his powers to stop the killer, and just let it happen because we need Midori to be sad. And again, I'm not trying to justify the man's actions. I'm just pointing out the fact that he was the only person remotely nice to her, but is still a fucking creep. The story is fine, even though it basically about this 10-year-old girl being abused by the circus gang. It at least get to the point when Midori's mother die, and by 26 minutes in, we are introduced to Misamitsu. But if I have any complaints with the story is just that Midori just gets abused constantly by the circus, and even with Misamitsu's appearance it doesn't get better for her. I am kinda mixed on the animation. On the one hand, it is beautifully hand-drawn art that looks, it's straight rip out from the manga it was based on. But on the other hand, the characters' mouths sometimes don't even move, the background round are sometimes at best non-existent, and the budget seems to be spended on the detailed imagery in some scenes. But I can't be too mad since again this was made on the live savings of one dude, and the fact he spent 5 years trying to get this off the rocks, which is impressive, especially for the time. And the reason why this was banned was because if haven't been paying attention was due to its extreme and graphic depictions of the worst type of abuse, which is just shocking considering the fact that Japan is famous, or infamous depending on your point of view, for pushing the edge with its animations and having a few questionable moments in a few anime series from time to time. Overall, I think Shoujo Tsubaki was a boring mess but here that's all I have to say about the movie, and if you want me to cover more disturbing stuff like this make sure to tell me so in the comments. Uses shock value to shock the audience but without using these mess up topics to say something about them. Anyways, and have a good day.
Sorry ass DJ.